Okay, we are here with the one, the only Tim Hong. You're a bit of a legend in the office. I think it's because you are pretty open with what things you like to do and don't do. I don't want to get into it all right off the top. So that sounded bad. It's nothing bad for anyone listening. It's just, everybody likes Tim Hong. And recently you were at the event, and from your store, what's the name of your store?
Card and Party
at QEW in Dorval.
QEW Dorval.
With the Canada Post inside that we're going to get to in a second.
Yep.
You have a claw machine.
Yep.
That you brought to, you let us bring to the event.
Yeah.
I don't know how you let us do that. And we put in gifts of like Bitcoin. We had stuffed animals with like Bitcoin logos on them. I think we had some t-shirts.
Some money.
I think we had $50 bills and $100 bills because some guy, I think from Barrie or something, won some of the cash. He was showing me the cash he won. He was all excited. So the claw machine kind of made such an impact that I think you're going to have to try and sell that thing to Nick.
Maybe.
Is he Yeah, he's in negotiation with you, I think. So, Tim, can you let everybody know, I guess the reason I wanted to chat with you is you went through a business experience that I think we could probably all learn something from. Can you just share with everyone, because you have a real estate background and property management background, and we're going to get into property management stuff again.
Yep.
But for kicking this off, excuse me, can you talk about what you've been up to the last few years? What did you buy? What was the plan? How has it been going?
Yeah, so about 2.5 years ago, we decided to look into something a little bit different from what we were doing. My wife kind of wanted something else to do. So we were looking into a small business to purchase. As you know, just looking to see, okay, what can we find? I didn't want to do a restaurant business because I've been in that before.
Were you in a restaurant business before?
Yeah. I was bartending before. I was a waiter. I was a waiter at a golf and country club, like some of the higher end stuff.
So the hours you didn't like?
Hours aren't good. I know the margins aren't the greatest either. So I didn't want to get into that. We almost, probably about 10 years ago, on Lakeshore in Oakville, there used to be I think it was either a Second Cup or Timothy's on the corner.
Yeah.
Right in Oakville, downtown, white building.
Oh my gosh, that white building is going to reopen right now as a Starbucks. The Starbucks sign's right there right now.
I think it's a coffee shop right now, but something else. Before it was like a Timothy's or a Second Cup or something like that.
The Second Cup is across the corner.
Okay.
I think it was a Timothy's, you're right.
Almost bought that one.
No.
Long time ago, yeah. But the hours didn't work at that time. Because again, you're working from 6 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, and it's the restaurant hours are tough.
Though, a barista making your own nice coffee. Actually, you're stuck in Timothy's. Who knows what they're forcing you to put? What kind of beans they're making you use there? So,
I've always wanted to get into something as a business, to look in it, and we found this card shop. So it sells for greeting cards. It was also a Canada Post outlet as well, and looked into it. It was on the market for a while.
A business like that, what's the breakdown when if there's if its main revenue on the retail side was cards, like birthday cards, that kind of stuff?
Greeting cards and gifts.
Greeting cards and small gifts.
Yeah.
And a Canada Post.
Yeah.
What's the revenue split on a business like that?
So in particular in that one, the revenue was mainly coming from Canada Post.
Oh, it was?
Probably about a 70-30%.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. So the Canada Post was one of the big drivers, and knowing that as a brand, like before what I know now. So before it was like, okay, that's a pretty good thing to get into. There's not many, you can't really get into Canada Post. You can't franchise it like a typical McDonald's or Tim Hortons. So that's not something good to get into, and it will always be there. I have different opinions now, but
yeah, we'll get to that in a second. The business owner then had the rights somehow to Canada Post.
Yeah, so
they sell rights.
Yeah, it's an authorized dealership.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a franchise.
You renew it every year.
Renew it every couple of years.
Can you lose it?
You can lose it as well if you don't perform, essentially.
And they measure performance by
sales.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Canada Post knows what's going on with sales. I find that so hard to believe, but okay. All right.
Yeah. So looking into that business, the previous owners were there for 15 plus years. That store itself has been in there since the inception of that plaza.
Oh, wow.
So it's been there for quite a while. But the previous owner was looking to kind of retire. Half the shelves were empty. Customer service ratings on Google were 1 to 2 stars. So it's when I looked at it, it was like going into a business, and at the beginning I was like, okay, let's birth the business. Let's kind of flip the business. Okay, let's go in, replenish everything, increase inventory, increase sales, increase customer service. and then decide what to do. So the original plan was to go in, do that for about 3 to 5 years, and then either flip the business or hire out so I don't have to spend as many hours there.
Got it.
So I knew I was going to spend a good chunk amount of hours there because it was
like any
owner
business.
it was owner operated, so I can hire. There wasn't enough margin to hire employees right away. So I knew that going in. So it wasn't a profit center really to jump into, but I could see it down the road if I put that sweat equity in, put a little bit of money in, you could see the returns later on. So we were on track doing that stuff. We got new inventory in. We were working with local artists to bring in sales for consignment stuff. So local artists who were designing stuff, we were selling it on their behalf, taking a little bit percentage there. We were increasing Canada Post sales. We ended up we're the highest rated Google rated Canada Post in Oakville.
No way.
And parts of Mississauga as
so
well.
how did you change that around?
It's just asking for customers.
Asking for reviews?
Asking for reviews.
And how did you get more business at Canada Post? Like, I don't see Canada Post advertising, just word spread that there was better customer service in there now?
Yeah. Because like that's customer service is something easy to do. It's already in my blood to do it, working at the restaurant stuff, dealing with real estate, dealing with tenants and stuff like that. So it's just easy to provide good customer service. So it was just getting people back in, wanting to come back to the Canada Post, because people were coming there because they didn't like the previous owners, and heard multiple stories of that where they didn't want to come back in and say, "Oh, you're new here. What happened to the previous people?" A lot of them thought we were related just because we're Asian, but we're not related. And then it still happens. It's still happening. 2.5 years later, people, is your dad still working?
Really?
I'm pretty sure you don't know my dad.
Well, you do look young, man. You still look young.
Yeah.
Jeez. But funny. Okay.
So then after we took over, the ratings went up. We had the QR code set up for people to scan to do the Google reviews. So we got people back. We were also reaching out to smaller businesses like other real estate companies where I saw them drop off, like say 500 postcards or 500 letters or calendars. And they were just buying the stamps. So what I offered was, hey, I can do the stamping for you. Just buy the stamps from me. I'll stamp it all for you.
Because the margin on stamps is good for you?
No, they're not good. But I just wanted that business.
Okay.
So
because you're measured on volume in some, you get volume bonuses from Canada Post?
There was some sales, like you had to hit certain sales amount of sales.
Okay.
And then you get some credits back. Not a lot.
Okay.
But
there's some incentive.
There's some incentive to increase the sales, but obviously it's beneficial for sales in general, whether I make 5% or 10% on a product. If I never had that, because if that business wasn't buying the stamps from me to begin with, I wouldn't have made that.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
So if I offer them, hey, I can stamp those 500 calendars for you, just buy the stamps for me and I'll invoice you later. No other Canada Post was offering that.
Wait, people send calendars still?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So that kind of stuff was getting around, and I was helping a lot of smaller businesses do that where they didn't have to use their own their own employees to do the labor.
Oh yeah, huge help.
Yeah, so it might save a little bit here and there, but it was more of a time saver for a lot of the companies that will just drop off a bucket of cards or letters or packages. We'll label them and then we'll email the invoice after.
And so did it start to pay off for you?
Yeah, so it started to bring the business back in. People were coming back into the store and stuff like that. So over the 2.5 years, that was continuing. Cool. So, and that was another way to kind of separate myself from other Canada Post where they weren't, or they didn't have the capability of doing that. So you can't bring 500 postcards to one of the Canada Post inside shoppers, drop it off and say, hey, stamp these for me.
Yeah.
Can you email me invoice? Like highly unlikely that it would be done. So we were just offering that little bit more of that old school community kind of Canada Post office feel.
Smart.
Yeah. So that's the only way to differentiate yourself.
Okay, so that was growing the Canada Post business.
Yeah.
And then you were doing the retail stuff by restocking shelves, working with some artists. What were the artists doing?
Some of them were making just paintings. They were already mailing them out from Canada Post.
Oh, but you offered to sell some.
So I said, hey,
did you sell any?
Yeah, we sold them. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just on consignment because a lot of people want to buy local artist stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
So they just want to support local.
Yeah.
So people that were selling out jewelry, paintings, signs and stuff like that. So the hand knitting stuff as well. So any of the local artists, we were just doing it on consignment. So it was a win-win where I didn't have to buy a whole bunch of inventory and hold it.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to rent a spot on the wall.
It's great.
So it's a win-win. Like we weren't. I said, there's no guarantees to sell this much stuff, but hey, it's a win. I can fill my shelves, and you can have your product out.
Okay, so then what happens?
So going all along, and then this November, obviously, the Canada Post strike hit, and that just threw a wrench into everything.
Because they shut down, 70% of the revenue is coming from Canada Post, but the majority of that 70% annually is coming probably right before Christmas when they shut down?
Yeah, so they shut down, I think it was mid-November. And this was a nationwide strike. It wasn't a rolling strike, so everything shut down. So if it was a rolling strike, it would be a little bit different. And if the time period would be a little bit different as well. But the 6 weeks, last 6 weeks of the year is the busiest typically for...
How much revenue do you think, or how much business volume does Canada Post do in those 6 weeks?
We do so for us, we'd probably do about 30% of annual volume in those 6 weeks.
Got it. Okay.
So it's quite a chunk.
Very meaningful.
Yeah, so that 6 weeks... they shut down. We lost 90% of our Canada Post revenue during that 6 week period.
Holy shit.
So mathematically, essentially, you lost about almost 30% of your revenue for the year. And
yeah, depending on what your margin is in the business is no longer even profitable.
Yeah, that's why they call it Black Friday for retail. That Friday on Black Friday, that's where most retail outlets typically start to get black.
How did you not lose 100% of your revenue because you were still selling stamps?
Some stamps here and there, but it was very minimal.
Yeah, got it.
Then at the end, like they came back, and there was like a 2 week period just before Christmas that people were doing a little bit, but like nobody was sending stuff out. Nobody was doing the big mailings and stuff like that.
So this hit you pretty hard.
Yeah. So then at that time, the Canada Post, what I found out as a business from what they're doing is they don't care.
Okay.
They don't care.
I thought you were about to unleash some brilliant words of wisdom right now.
No.
Listen, I looked into it, and what I found is this. You're not going to believe it. They don't give two shits.
Yeah, pretty much. So we weren't the ones on strike. It was the delivery drivers and the union. So they didn't offer any compensation or credits back for lost revenue at all. So the first thing I asked them, I was like, hey, we usually order all our big inventory for December in October, and then we have to pay in December. So all of that money that was coming out of our bank accounts, but we still had the inventory. So after the first couple of days of strike, I was like, hey, if you guys are taking out this money, it's going to go NSF. I don't have the money in the bank account because it's sitting on the shelves, and it's not my fault that you guys went on strike and you're not forcing them back to work.
How did they respond to that? They don't care.
They said, okay, we'll look into it. Usually they don't do anything during the strike. Like the previous strikes, they usually never did anything. So they looked into it and they said, okay, yeah, we can delay it. I'll let you know. But so that was one thing that they've done, essentially delay the inventory withdrawal. So something, but there's not really enough. Like you still have to owe that money back anyways, because once you sell the inventory, you pay it back, right? And then, so during that whole time, they didn't do anything. It was on strike. The store was pretty much dead. Nobody was buying Christmas cards to send out and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're losing the traffic that would even normally come in and pick up the other stuff.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So it was a big hit for us. And then our dealership agreement was coming up March this year.
Okay.
And our lease agreement was also in terms to renew at the same time.
Okay.
So then we just decided, we're just going to shut it down. We don't want to partner with a business that doesn't want to support its own people. And we're not the ones that were on strike. So we were just like, okay, let's shut it down. And then so let the Canada Post know, hey, we're not going to renew our dealership agreement with you guys for the end of March. And they're like, okay. And that's it.
Yeah, they don't care. They'll just get someone else in that mall. We'll pick it up somewhere.
Well, not that Canada Post, because there's going to be nothing in that unit anymore because we have the lease.
Yeah, got it.
So they're going to push the business to the other Canada Post.
Got it.
Down up third line, upper middle, and then at the Dorval and Kerr area. So we're just a number to them.
Yeah.
But they lose out on, like, the community doesn't like it.
Yeah.
There's people across.
Convenient to have Canada Post around, right? Yeah. You're always kind of darting in and out. As little as we do compared to maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You still are picking up a package or dropping off something.
Yeah. So just looking at it and what they've been doing, and then diving deeper into, okay, why did they lose 300 mil last Q3 of last year? And I was like, okay, well, how they're running a business is not really running a business.
What would you have done? Is there something you would have done that comes to mind? Would you like to working with these guys, like buy the inventory back off you that you bought from them? I don't know.
No, because I'm going to sell. Like I can return the inventory. Anything that I don't sell, I can return back. And I'll get sold. It's more about them. Like if they just covered my expenses for those 2 months, like that 6 weeks, I would have been happy. Just do something that shows that you actually care about your own people. You're just not a number or not a franchise or authorized dealer and stuff like
Okay,
that.
so it was the way they communicate. Even if they communicated that they weren't going to cover those 2 months, if they communicated something like, hey, we're going to give you a week, you probably wouldn't have been enough to maybe even change your mind, but would have showed you maybe something.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the fact that they didn't communicate and really didn't care at all.
Yeah, and then just looking into it, like they're not doing the right things as a business to generate more revenue for everybody.
What comes to mind?
They're pushing a lot of the small businesses to do their own labeling now.
Is that what we have here?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff you bring in as well, and then I print the label. Just make.
I know
it
we've
for you.
loved that you've been doing this because I know Aiden has been just like, this is great. I just dump everything on Tim Hong's desk over there at the store, and he takes care of it all.
Yeah. So that stuff they're pushing a lot back to the smaller businesses to do themselves. Because then they can get the discounts when they do it off of either their Shopify or their Etsy stores and stuff like that. They have some kind of discount with Canada Post.
Okay.
So
you can print off the label, then you're just literally dropping it on a counter.
Yeah. So then all this Canada Post become drop-off centers.
Damn. So that's what's going to happen.
I think so. So the smaller Canada Post inside these greeting stores, the convenience stores, Hasty Markets, I think they'll eventually be gone 3 to 5 years down the road. Because one, it's if you see the business model that they're doing, it's not bringing new customers in, and it doesn't. And they can go on strike again. They might go on strike in May because they're still not done with the talks.
I wonder what Staples, because now Staples just took all of that stuff, right? Like from the FedEx, UPS, they're not using even UPS stores anymore. They're just saying, okay, come to Staples and it's a drop-off center.
Yeah.
And there's tons of people there.
Yeah,
there's people dropping off all the time.
Yep.
But they've taken what used to be maybe 3 or 4 stores, condensed it to basically a drop-off counter.
Yep.
With 1 or 2 people operating there.
Yep.
A little bit of tape and scissors and that's it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then for them, like as a bigger business, they're doing stuff that doesn't bring business. Like since I've been there for like the 2.5 years we took over, they changed packaging on one item like 3 times, like just the look of the packaging.
Okay.
And I was like, come on, guys. I was like, you don't have to waste money.
Yeah, what do they do? Can you imagine the branding consultant that got the gig to change that packaging?
Just knowing the small business stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, just stuff. I was like,
what a waste.
Yeah, I was like, there's so much waste. And like, I was like, you can make it all black and nobody.
It wouldn't matter.
Nobody would care.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bring business to you.
Yeah.
So I don't see them doing the right thing. I think it's obviously Crown Corporation owned. So there's a lot of wasted resources.
Useless. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. So it's a lot of wasted resources that I see. And then that was also one of the decisions of us not renewing the dealership agreement was, okay, in the future, do I see them wanting or growing to help me to increase the business other than increasing prices of stamps?
Got it.
I don't see that. And then rent increased as well in the plaza. And I was like,
that's a popular plaza, right? Dorval QEW.
Yeah. So it increased 6%. And I was like, okay, how many stamps and cards do I have to sell? I don't have the high margin, high ticket items that can
6%, right in line with debasement there, Tim Hong.
Yeah.
Just going along. 6%. It's actually a little low.
Yeah.
I think debasement was like 7%.
Yeah.
So you got a deal.
Yeah, I got a deal.
Shit. Okay.
So just all that combined, we're just like, okay, let's just shut it down. It's not worth the time that I'd spend all this year and the next 2-3 years to recoup the losses, or I'd have to throw more money into it to change up the store to either maybe more convenience instead of just the greeting cards.
Yeah, got it.
Or something completely.
Did you start to notice that convenience really was the way to go? Like, were people coming in there and buying Gatorades and like, I don't know, chocolate bars and that kind of stuff more, or no?
The stuff that we only had a little bit, but not enough for somebody to come in to want full convenience. You need like a full
convenience store.
Convenience store, 2-3 fridges. You need a full stock of chocolate bars and chips.
Yeah, got it.
You need to sell the
Having
cigarettes.
a couple types of chocolate bars just isn't enough.
Not enough. Yeah. No. You got to sell the cigarettes and then maybe get into the alcohol there as well.
So for the Hasty Market type store, the Canada Post is a beautiful add-on right now because they're probably doing enough volume on convenience that this is just not a bigger footprint of store. They jam in a Canada Post in the back corner like we all see, and they're just getting that extra revenue. So for them, it works.
Yeah, It works. I think they still depend on that revenue from Canada Post to pay.
Sure, maybe it's all their margin.
Yeah, because it's typically going to be more volume as well to bring all those people in. So it's just if they have enough space in some of those hasty markets, they don't have as much space to put that.
Hey, it's Anthony Molinaro from the Your Life, Your Term show, and I've got some exciting news. On Saturday, April 12th, we're hosting our biggest and most in-depth Your Life, Your Terms event yet in Mississauga, Ontario, and space is filling up fast. This is your chance to join us for a transformational day packed with powerful insights, strategies, and connections to help you live life on your terms. We'll be covering the biggest real estate opportunities, what's happening with the Canadian and global economy, how to protect and grow your wealth with Bitcoin and hard assets, and how to use marketing strategies and disruptive technologies to build freedom and income for yourself. But here's the deal. Tickets are going up the closer we get to the event, and with the early flood of registrations, we'll likely be hitting capacity. If you want to guarantee your seat and save some money, register now before it's too late. And remember, if you're a Rockstar Inner Circle member, your tickets are completely free for yourself and your guests. Head over to yourlifeyourtermsevent.com and secure your spot today. You don't want to miss this one. That's yourlifeyourtermsevent.com.
What about bookkeeping stuff? Were you using QuickBooks to manage your books? Like, was it complicated at all, or could you just do a business like that? Could you just do it on basic like spreadsheet?
Yeah, just Excel.
Yeah, you didn't need even QuickBooks.
No, nothing. Just
basic
Excel.
stuff.
Just basic stuff, and then we weren't really doing anything fancy. We set it up.
So as a business owner, small business systems wise, you didn't need much software in that business. What was the point of sale stuff? Just a basic cash register?
Yeah, just cash register. Canada Post had it already set up with Moneris for the credit card, debit card stuff.
Oh, they did. Okay.
And then on the card side, I just set it up with Clover.
And that was good?
That was good, yeah.
Okay.
Just you rent the item, and then they charge a little bit of a percentage or a monthly fee.
And you liked the speed at which you were getting paid through Moneris? Like whenever they were getting paid, they dumped into your business account?
Yeah, it was daily.
Regular
yeah,
enough? It was daily?
It was next day, yeah.
Oh, God.
Because then we had to pay back Canada Post. Like if you bought, say, $1,000 worth of stamps, and then I made $50 on those stamps, Canada Post is taking their money out the next day.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So
Okay. They got that figured out?
Yeah, they got that figured out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Huh. Wow.
So nothing too crazy in terms of setup and like for software or anything.
And what about the hours that you put in? Was it more than you guys thought?
No, it was
or is it what you expected?
It was expected because we knew what the hours of
6 days a week store?
6 days a week,
okay.
Monday to Friday, roughly 9:30 to 7.
Okay.
So Monday to Saturday, Sunday off.
Sunday off. It's kind of reasonable hours for a store, really.
Yeah, so that's one of the things when we looked into it at the very beginning. Like we looked at convenience stores. I'm like, no, those hours are rough. And with the kids, like I got 3 kids, right? So I can't be away from home that long. But I was like, 7:30's doable because like half the time, sometimes we're doing real estate till 7:30 at night, right? Yeah.
So looking back, then, what have you learned about what would you have changed? Would you have analyzed it differently? Would you do this again?
Looking into it, the previous owner didn't have their books fully like organized properly. So we actually ended up trying to sell it back in October, first just to test the market.
Okay.
But what we found was a lot of the business owners that were looking to buy is that they want a lease set in place. So it's like a fixed lease that's another 5 year plus a 5 year.
Yeah, they don't want that variable, right?
Yeah, so we had a renewal coming up in March 2025. So we didn't set anything. We said, hey, you can renew directly or negotiate directly with the landlord. But if a business is doing that or a new owner coming in, one, the landlord doesn't want to play that way. And two is that they typically would want to redo the whole lease. So nothing would be benefit and they can just jack up the rent however much they want.
So they're buying the business basically saying you take care of the lease and the hassle. That gives us the definitive answer of we know as the new business purchaser what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Then we'll decide if we like this or not.
Yeah.
But don't put us through the hassle of trying to negotiate this lease.
Correct. Yeah. And then for the numbers, what I was providing numbers to people, it was more for how I report in 2023 is the numbers that I need to report for me. It wasn't for selling a business. So obviously small business, you're writing off quite a bit of stuff. So when you do sell the business, you want to show proper books and stuff like that. So we weren't, we had that because that was our full first year business. We had a lot of write-offs as well. So those numbers didn't look good for somebody trying to buy the business.
Got it.
And a lot of the people that were buying it wanted to buy a turnkey business where they didn't want to work there.
So they just wanted to know what was the operating income on this thing exactly. You have a set lease. They wanted to buy a little cash flow machine.
Correct. Yeah.
And basically not have any questions.
Yeah. So in that, and we couldn't offer that at that time. Like another 2-3 years.
So you learned a lot through this.
Probably. Yeah. So if I'm looking into something else, like I'm looking into potentially coin laundry stuff later on, because I like the idea of don't have to be there as often, the hours, minimal dealing with potential issues with other businesses, inventory stuff.
You're on the path to public storage, Tim Hong.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Feels like you are.
Yeah.
Because public storage, as far as I'm concerned, is the best business in all of humankind on planet Earth.
It's just finding.
Give me all your, it's finding them. We know a bunch of people that you know as well that are in the outskirts of the GTA picking up, like they just have a fund and they go get the second tier locations all around the GTA. Like this one that's in the parking lot of the Rockstar office here. This guy killed it to build this thing.
Yeah.
He built it out. They got it up to a certain amount of occupancy, I guess you would call it, like just filled with people's stuff. The bank then allowed them to refinance based on some of the income projections after a certain threshold was crossed. And it's just a tremendous business. I'm sure they know their attrition rate now. You drop flyers into the community, get some more people to throw their stuff in there. You're not dealing with tenants. I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the best business.
Then if they don't pay, you
just throw their stuff out.
Yeah, you give them a registered letter and then
lock them out.
Lock them out.
I just think there's just no better business.
And auction it off.
Yeah. There's like in that big public storage that's in our parking lot, there's just like one person there at the desk.
Yeah.
In that whole building, there is one human.
Yeah.
Think about that. So then as staffing comes down to one person.
Yeah.
I've never seen two over there.
Yeah.
One person, what do you have? You're managing the bays that I guess have some mechanical stuff to them because the doors are opening and closing a lot for people to get in and out. What else are you really doing? You're not really cleaning that much.
No. You probably have a cleaning crew.
Yeah, cleaning crew for you don't really have public washrooms. I guess you do, like you have some public washrooms.
Yeah.
There's not that much foot traffic. There's some floors that probably don't see a human on there for like 2-3 days at a time. I think it's just the most brilliant bit. And then this guy did it really smartly. He built it in the corner of this lot that he negotiated. I guess when he bought this lot, he got that little corner piece of land. He's using, and I'm sure they paid for it. Nick will know this better than I will. But he's using the parking lot that's part of this office complex as the asphalt to get to that public storage. If you look at that public storage, he used every inch of land for the building.
Yeah.
There's no independent driveway. He's literally using this parking lot for it. I guess they paid some kind of as of right, or they contributed in some capacity, but it's quite brilliant because I'm pretty sure they're not part of the condo association for this. These condo offices paying for the snow clearing and stuff.
Yeah.
So they have like no footprint. I'm just amazed by the business.
Yeah.
Tim, you're on the path.
Getting there.
You really are.
Just need the funds for that one.
Yeah, it's big. The construction costs, I think, on that were 8 figures, well into the 8 figures.
Or just find one that that's already existing and you're
for sure. But talk about turnkey. But anyway, okay, so you would maybe look into some other coin op kind of stuff.
Yeah, here and there. So you see what else. More of a, because I spent so many hours the past 2.5 years at the store, it's just more, okay, what is a little bit more hands off? I know any other business that I would be getting into would be, you're still going to put hours into it no matter what, but then I'm not going to be sitting there 9:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night kind of deal.
I guess you could do
this. And I can't leave.
Can't leave. But you could do the same thing without coin up with just vending machine locations, right? Pick up a bunch of locations, no?
Yeah, I think you could, but
tough.
I don't know. Yeah. I kind of feel like the coin laundry.
And coin laundry, there's still enough of them around?
You have to hit the right areas. Like you have to have the older apartment buildings with no laundry in them. Those places. Yeah. So it's going to be might be an older neighborhood or in those older areas. So you just got to make sure that there's efficiency stuff that you can do to a lot of those smaller businesses that's where you increase the profit margins and increase the revenue.
So then what happens to you next? So next, we are recording this in February. So next month you're done with this. You close it down.
End of March, we're closing it down.
That's going to be so weird. You're going to lock it up and walk away.
Yeah. Just lock it up and walk away. Yeah.
That's wild.
Sell as much inventory as we can over the next month and a half.
Okay. I'll tell Nick the claw machine is available for sale. Well, I don't know if it is, but he's asked about it enough that I assume he wants
we
to talk.
may or may not bring it to the next Rockstar.
Yeah, I think he's trying to look for a location for it in this office here. I'm like, Nick, I don't know if we want a claw machine in our office. What are we doing? What are we? Our business is already strange enough that now we have a claw machine in here. We have like random people coming in to use the claw machine at the Rock. Where are you going? I'm going to go with my kids to the Rockstar to use that claw machine they have. We're going to just force people to pay with Bitcoin. It's going to be a Bitcoin payment only claw machine. You must learn Bitcoin, pay with Lightning payments to use the claw machine. Then actually I'm interested. That actually got me interested.
Probably set it up, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next for Tim Hong then? What's your next move?
So next
talking
move
about
is,
property management again?
Yeah, we're doing property management. So I've been doing obviously real estate with Rockstar as a.
I feel like forever.
Forever, like 2000 and. I don't know. I was a member since 2008 technically, and then
Were you 2008?
2008, 2009.
Shit. So you saw us through like newspaper ads or something?
Yeah. I don't remember.
Fax blast. Back then we were doing fax blasts.
No, I don't think I did get the fax. I was online. I remember though when back then where the sign up pages where you had to opt in. I don't know if so back then it was easier to get into the thank you pages because all you had to do was backslash thank you without opting in. So I remember doing that. So basically you
scammed all our systems. We had all these beautiful offers and you just looked around, didn't give us your damn email address.
Yeah, you eventually got it, but I was like, I had to look at what the final
Didn't you buy our book instead of giving us the email address at first?
Yeah, I got the physical book.
So you just totally thought we were a scam?
At that time, yeah.
These guys, look, these guys are scammers. Look at this opt-in page. So you went to the thank you page without actually opting in. Smart. Yeah. It's a little more complicated to do that.
Yeah, you can't do that now. I don't think. No. I think it's much harder.
Yeah, it is much harder.
Yeah. So back then, yeah. And then I joined as a coach back in 2013, I think it was, when I got laid off. So it's been,
oh my God, that's why.
11, 12 years, yeah.
Holy smokes, man.
So past, 10 plus 15 years.
And then you were buying, was all your stuff being, no, you had some Hamilton. I was going to say, was there everything in Kitchener? No,
Hamilton. I had a 6-unit building in Hamilton.
Okay.
Where that was long-term goal was the right idea. Time frame was not good for us. We were right across from Gage Park in 2010. So
got it. So too early for the area.
Too early, and we didn't expect that much. I guess cost involved with a 6-unit.
Got it.
So that one kind of we sold.
How much have we all learned by just buying businesses and properties?
In hindsight,
shit, on paper it looks so good. In real life, this thing, man.
In hindsight, I should have been retired and sitting on a beach by now, but.
Still learning.
Yeah, still learning. Always learning. So learning from the mistakes. And then about 8 years ago, we started doing property management with a business partner. Started off small. We're still fairly small right now. So we're running about 25 doors. And these were specifically for our own stuff as well as existing investors that I helped purchase. Yeah,
I feel like you were always good at it, but you never wanted to expand it at all.
It was tougher because one, it was my business partner was in chiropractic, so he couldn't do as much.
Got it.
But he's out of that now. So
wow.
Yeah, and then we have more time for both of us, and now I don't know.
Why is he out of chiropractic?
He just had a health issue that he couldn't continue with it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, so now we have more. I'll have more time at the end of March after to close the store.
Okay.
So now we can start growing again. Where our initial phase is let's double it first. Let's go from 25 doors to 50 doors, and then we'll go, because what we've seen obviously in the past is if you're growing too quickly without the systems in place, is that you're just going to fall apart.
And property management needs a system. When we got up to 34 doors, we couldn't find software that was any use to like small property management companies that weren't managing thousands of commercial or thousands of residential apartment units.
Yeah.
So to get that software that was really geared up for managing 25 to 250 single family homes or duplexes, it really was challenging. Is the software a bit better now?
Yeah, software is much better. So we're using something called Buildium. It's one of the bigger ones as well.
Okay.
It's pricey. It's definitely pricey to subscribe to.
But it'll print off the reports. It's going to be tracking all the maintenance requests. Like it's doing all that for you?
Yeah. So tenants can actually report maintenance stuff within the software system.
Okay. What is it? Or like a web portal?
Web portal. Yeah.
Oh, no way. Okay.
The landlords, the owners, they get the reports there.
Oh, cool.
We've set it up. We've set up now all the tenants, majority of the tenants pay direct deposit now, not like email money transfer like I did before. Yeah. All the owners get paid out via direct deposit as well.
Okay.
So it saves that system and the systems that we put in place. have saved us quite a bit of time and effort that we can start scaling.
Wow, because we were having to run like tandem systems. Like for maintenance requests, it was a different system. And then tying it together was difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let me just ask you some operational things for property management. When do you pay out the owners?
Usually on the 5th of the month.
5th of the month? And then what about if there's non-payment of rent? Are you guys handling N4s and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we'll handle the initial notice. So the N4s, any other N notices we'll handle.
Okay.
If required, we will get a paralegal, and then there will be extra cost.
Sure.
A lot of the times I've went to the landlord tenant board hearing on behalf of as the landlord technically, on behalf
Can't
of
do that anymore, no?
Pretty sure you still can, because we're the landlord on title or on lease.
Oh, you are? Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Huh. You're the landlord.
So the landlord doesn't have to be the owner.
Huh. Okay. Got it.
So then we'll go and we'll talk to the tenant, talk to the court hearing. So we'll do that as well. If it's more of a simple one, like if it's a simple like.
But you're charging. There's a fee for doing this.
There's no extra fee.
There's no extra fee for you to go to the landlord tenant board?
No, we haven't charged anything. So that's one of the things that we're doing is that we rarely go to the landlord tenant.
Sure.
So we set it up that we screen the tenants very well. And we want to help you as the investor protect your investment at the same time.
How are you screening tenants very well? Do you have a system like some of the software?
A lot of the stuff that we've been doing with the Rockstar.
That Anthony's been talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the stuff that you see now? Like you can see people's income, but you can also see if they're shopping at different stores, like pet stores and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you're looking into more of the bank statement details, you can see, okay, if they don't have if they say they don't have a pet, but they're going to Pet Value every other
Can you
week.
believe we're allowed to see that information? Like I know the tenant has to okay it,
yeah.
but that the banks open up through an API into some of these software programs. Like you're not seeing all their details, but you're literally seeing where they're shopping.
Yeah.
It's kind of spooky,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
Like as a landlord, I guess it's great, but it's also simultaneously psycho.
Yeah. And there's other softwares where you can check to see if they have any court hearings. Court
that's new.
Against them.
That's great.
That's new in the past couple of years as well.
Yeah. And then there's social media checks now where you can check their social media.
Check LinkedIn, social media, put their phone number, put their email, put their name all in Google, see what pops up. And then just,
Damn. So with these programs now, if you can check somebody's court cases, I think somebody's building some kind of system for landlords to report landlord tenant board judgments against tenants as well.
Yeah.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah. There's a couple out there that you can report their judgments, and they might go on their credit report as well.
So it is getting difficult. I guess I'm saying this like it's a bad thing. The privacy mind in me is kind of hesitant to all this stuff. But as a landlord, you have way more visibility. Like when Nick and I were filling properties, we literally went off, like I'm more a gut feel guy than Nick. So I was just like gut feel, like, could you pay me? And my gut feel on you.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Looking back, that was actually crazy.
Yeah. So you're going to get people that will slip by in terms of provide you exactly the right stuff.
But it's harder now.
It's much harder. And again, I actually go by my gut as well. Like that's why I like to meet the tenants.
Totally.
The first time they're in. Like I don't care for if they give me application stuff beforehand. Like we've had people respond to an ad, say, hey, here's my application, here's my credit score. I was like, okay, fine.
Forcing their way in.
Yeah, I was like, come meet the house. I don't even look at their stuff beforehand because I don't want that. I don't want to change my perception. I want my first impression to know when I meet them to see if they're actually good people.
Got it.
And most of the time, over experience, you kind of get that gut feel.
Yeah. It's once you've done it enough, once you've been screwed enough times.
Yeah.
How are you guys, what's the fee for vacancies with you guys?
To fill?
Yeah.
It's 1 month's tenant placement.
Yeah.
And then for the monthly management, it's 7%.
7%.
Yeah. And then Rockstar members do get a little bit of a discount as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, Tim. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, man.
And then we don't charge any extra fees for site visits.
Okay.
For like move in, move out inspections and stuff like that.
Okay.
So because I know some other investors were complaining that some property management were charging annual lease renewal fees.
Okay.
Even if the tenant stayed.
Okay.
Every time they went out, they charged. We don't surcharge or mark up any of the renovations or contractor costs.
So then I'm seeing the straight cost. If a toilet needs repaired, I'm seeing the straight cost from the contractor that went into fix it.
We'll add the invoice into the software program as well. So
got it.
So we'll usually pay first.
Okay.
And then we'll deduct it from the following month's.
Sure. Makes sense.
Rent.
That's the easiest way to do it.
It's the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So we feel like we have the proper systems in place that are there for us to continue to grow then.
Okay. And then I guess the key thing is for you to have enough contract vendors around plumbing, electrical, maintenance, that kind of stuff. But I guess now over the years, you've collected those.
Yeah, we've collected them, and then kind of figuring out our niche as well in terms of type of property. So right now,
what is it?
Single family,
Okay.
duplexes, and condos,
Okay.
mainly in Kitchener and Hamilton.
Okay.
And then parts of GTA, depending on where the condos or those houses are.
Okay.
Because if we have houses in around that area, then we'll do those.
So you have some stuff in the Toronto proper area?
Yeah, North York, downtown,
Okay.
Mississauga, Oakville.
Okay, so if somebody has something that happens to be around some existing stuff, but you're not really looking to grow that generically.
No, so if they have something existing and they want us to take over, and we have something in that area, we'll
We'll
take it over.
it.
But if it's something in, like, for example, like Richmond Hill, where I don't have anything right now, it's not. I'm not going to take over.
Okay.
And then nothing over bigger than a duplex, no multifamilies, and no student rentals.
Yeah, got it.
The main reason being is that for those ones, they do typically take up much more time and for the same amount of effort.
Yeah, student, and especially stuff like student rentals, it's a very specific game. Different schools have specific things you need to know. Like you kind of have to, it's a slightly different game.
Yeah.
What about larger renovations? You said that. Are you doing that kind of stuff with your contractors? Like, let's say, I don't know, I need a bathroom totally gutted, or no, that's not your thing.
So we'll refer the contractors that we've used in the past.
Okay, so you refer, so it's not something going through you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they'll.
So you're capped out at maintenance requests on the property.
Yeah.
If it's any like new renovation that's larger than a maintenance request, you refer that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Even the maintenance stuff that we refer to the third party. Some of the smaller stuff we might be able to do personally, like, here's a change a toilet flap kind of deal.
Okay.
But anything bigger than that, no.
I'm trying to think of the difficult stuff. Like I think for me was Boxing Day. I had a sewage backup at a rental in Oakville. I was at a hockey tournament. Couldn't get hold of a plumber. Like it was Boxing Day,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody had that off. Had to wait a day. That was a tough one. So that you guys are prepared to handle. Like you guys have emergency phone numbers for your tenants and that, like that basic stuff, I guess.
Yeah, like again, for the stuff that's going to be a more emergency, sometimes they do have to wait a day or two.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Like
You never want to, but sometimes you're forced to.
Yeah, there was like a hot water. The guy ran out of hot water on like the Friday night. And we couldn't get anybody till the Monday.
Yeah.
Anybody, they were okay with it as well.
Oh my God. One time we had a hot water tank on a student rental blow up on us. When I mean blow up, it like dumped the water. I don't mean it exploded, but it dumped the water. We bought this property from an older gentleman it was an older house. So we kind of like jimmied some of the walls together in the basement and stuff. And then we had 2 bedrooms down there, a kitchen, a walkout, 2 separate entrances to that basement, one to the upstairs and one to the direct outside. And when I called because we were renting to get a new hot water tank put in there, they came in and the installer said, hey, it's kind of tight for me to get this hot water tank past your furnace. There's like a drywall wall here that somehow this guy hadn't even really taped it up too well. It was like, he's like, I think I can unscrew this drywall. And I think he had a piece of paneling over it. Like, so it wasn't like taped like you would normally tape drywall. It was like drywall wall with a piece of paneling. And that was like the wall on, the nice side of the wall had this paneling. And so they wanted the okay if they could take down the paneling and unscrew the drywall to get the hot water tank in a bit easier. And I okayed it. And then when the other guy came back to turn on the gas, he's like, oh, sorry, like I'm going to have to condemn your house here because this hot water tank is in a bedroom. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Actually, it's not in a bedroom. There's a wall there that your guys took down. Like they asked me if they could take it down and I okayed it, but it's clearly not in a bedroom. The wall just happens to be down. Like if you give me the okay that everything's okay, I'm going to put the wall back up. And he's like, well, I'm not going to give you the okay because there's no wall here. Yeah. And I'm like, we're kind of in a jam. Do you see the jam that we're in here right now? So then we came to some agreement that if we built a drywall wall with a door there, he would turn the gas back on. So we had to get one of our friends who is a little bit better with some of the carpentry stuff than us on a Saturday night, like beg him to come down with us. So we're down there on a Saturday night rebuilding a wall, putting a door in. And I think it was like the Tuesday of the next week. So I think they were down for almost a full week to get the gas back on. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I don't know. I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah. Some of the tenant stuff is just managing expectations.
Yeah. So these guys had to be down a week when we were trying everything we could. We couldn't beat this guy.
And what I found is as long as you're communicating with the tenants, they're usually okay
Totally.
with everything. Yeah.
And we offered to pay for hotels, and they even take us up on it. You know, we got them space heaters and that kind of stuff on another time when we had a furnace go. So you're right. Like, as long as you're communicating.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, man, it was the middle of winter and they were just washing themselves in cold water and stuff. That was just rough, man. It felt brutal.
Cold baths before they were
Cold.
popular.
Yeah. Now we know, hey, cold plunges, it's all good. Okay. So you're going to grow that business in those areas. Let me just repeat: Kitchener, Hamilton, and some parts of the GTA, depending on where the properties are.
Yeah.
Okay. Single family homes, duplexes, and condos.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that's the focus, main focus after March right now as well. And then we'll see if we can double what we're doing from 25-ish to 50-ish doors.
I think you're going to, people are always hunting, you know how it is, looking for good property managers. Has anyone, I'm sure, has word leaked out yet? Is anyone already reaching out to you?
Yeah, slowly. I got a couple new leads on the go that we're helping fill properties, and we'll be managing probably in April.
Yeah, got it.
So it's getting there. And then, I realize like I do like talking to people in terms of just talking to the tenants and stuff like that. I find it seems like I have, I don't know, the ability to communicate with them. And
you're very calm. You have the right demeanor for it.
Yeah. So we've gotten like some pretty good testimonials from actual tenants that say, hey,
oh, wow,
we're doing good. So a lot of the times that you'll see property management companies, they'll get
blasted. Yeah.
So it's more of like the investors obviously are great, but it's finding if the tenant says you're good, then it's obviously, I think it's a good sign that you've been helping them, any issues coming up. And the better that the tenant is, they're more likely to keep your investment protected. So you're not going through any chaos or anything like that.
And then where's your head at now just with real estate? You've been doing this stuff for a while. What's your latest thinking on property types? Are you going to keep some rental? Like what's your latest thinking on real estate as a business, as an investment?
I always think it's a good investment. Like again, wish I would have more and didn't have to sell the ones that I didn't have to back in whenever those years.
Oh my God, Nick and I, we had rent to owns. I'll never forget when we were doing rent to owns because we basically had to. They were just good properties to do quickly. They didn't need renovations. And I remember thinking, this is when we were buying them in Hamilton at like 220,000, 210, 205,000, fully detached 3-bedroom house. And I guess we were doing about 5% depreciation on these things. And after 3 years, we were making like, it was going to be like 30K. And I remember thinking, this is amazing. Like, this is amazing. We're helping the person get into this nice rent-to-own home. We're getting rent. At the end, we make like 30K. Now, looking back at what inflation has done to 30K, not that 30K is not a lot of money, but I mean, you're still paying tax on some of that stuff. It just seems hilarious that we were selling properties on the Hamilton Mountain at like $255,000 and patting ourselves on the back. And we needed to do it.
Yeah.
And we did it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
If we had just held all those properties, they all would have went to like between 750 and $1 million.
Yeah.
It's just the classic case of at the time we needed some income.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the ability to not have those income hits.
Yeah.
Like those 30Ks that popped into our lives, like that's how we grew rocket. Like we invested it all back into building this business.
Yeah.
So we just needed to. So, but I look back at it in the same time.
It's just a cycle.
It's that cycle. Yeah. Like we just needed those income hits.
Yeah.
And then eventually, you can kind of hold on to some stuff, which gratefully we have been able to. But looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's just the numbers are a little bit tougher, obviously, right now. Hopefully the interest rates, we see some drops this year.
I think we're going to have to continue to see some drops. The real estate market is not humming along.
No.
And it's such a big part of the GDP.
Yeah.
And Canada must have a growing GDP to pay for all the debt that we have in this country. So they're going to have to juice this real estate market, whether it's the right thing to do or not.
Yeah.
Interest rates have to come down, or if they don't, there's going to have to be programs. Like right now, real estate is still slow.
It's still slow, yeah.
So
we're not seeing the movement. We're seeing the inventory.
And the heavy winter has not helped.
Yeah.
We haven't had a heavy winter like this. When we had these winters like in 2009, 10, 11, 12, Nick and I remember that if February had a heavy snowfall, it did delay the spring market.
Yep.
Nobody was going around. Nobody was looking at properties. Nobody was listing.
Can't even park on the side street right now.
You can't even put a for sale sign up on the lawn if you were going to list.
Yeah.
So it definitely delays things. I just don't know what we're about to see. Like, does the slowness continue into the spring? It does convince me that we are going to get continued more rate hikes. I think Nick's not completely sure. I'm completely sure. I'm like, this country needs real estate to hum. And again, I don't even agree with it all. Yeah. But they're so dependent on it for GDP that I think the central bank is going to do everything in their power to move this real estate along. Let's see.
Yeah, I think it has to. I think the buyer demand is still there. It's just there's not as like
there's no sense of urgency.
There's no sense of urgency. Yeah.
Why am I pushed now? I know rates are going to come down more.
Yeah.
They're not going up. I know that like there's probably going to be more listings coming around the corner, not less. So like, what is really? I'm going to have more options and cheaper money in 60 days. Why not just wait a little bit?
Yeah.
Unless I had a need to.
Yeah.
Right. Unless I'm kind of have to pull my money out of the country or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Maybe you want to.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No.
I'm only half joking.
I think we need Elon and Doge to come in to clean up.
Yeah, can you imagine? Did you see the Global Affairs website that got shut down here in Canada? The property management company. So how do people find Tim Hong? What's the URL?
KTProperty.ca.
KTProperty.ca.
Yeah. And then if there's any questions or emails, you can just email my Rockstar email. That's tim@rockstarbrokerage.com.
Yeah, cool. And then just before, I guess, we let off with the property management things, words of wisdom around hiring property managers now that you've been doing this. Where do people go wrong when they hire property managers?
I think people go wrong where they're looking for the cheapest, where they might have either a flat fee or a lower percentage, but they realize that there's all these extra fees on top, or they don't have the experience that they're in what they're doing. And the delay in communication, because again, through all this customer service stuff that I've done over the past 2 years, it's just people just want to hear, get communicated with on a timely basis. So if you're answering questions through tenants or landlords, answer promptly. You don't have to wait. Okay, I asked my property manager this, and they haven't responded in 2 days. Something like just this is simple. It's the simple stuff. Like you can do all the tactics of trying to grow the business, but to keep the business going and to keep the customers as loyal customers, you just got to communicate with them properly.
Yeah, got it. Tim, do you have any, I feel like you always go on some kind of trip to like Las Vegas maybe or something. Do you have any trips coming up? I'm going to Las Vegas at the end of, when are we going? End of May? I'm going sometime. In the next few months, I'm going
Potentially middle of May right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Booked.
Are you? What is your hotel of choice? I don't know if this is too much info. You tell me. Am I allowed to ask you your hotels of choice there? Do you have a one or two preference?
I usually go with MGM properties just because they're comping me. That's the only reason. So we're booked right now. We're not 100% sure if we're going to go or not, but everything's booked. So
what are the MGM properties? They are MGM for sure.
MGM Grand, Bellagio.
Aria is MGM.
Ario's in there.
Okay. Bellagio's MGM.
Park MGM. Yeah, they have a
Park
lot.
MGM. I like Park has Italy at the bottom of it.
Yeah, I like Park as well just because there's no smoking inside.
Yeah, so got it. That's the difference.
Bellagio's nice. It's just the views are nice from Bellagio.
Bellagio's central too.
Yeah, so
I don't mind Aria either.
I haven't stayed at Aria yet, but when we go, I'll usually get the cheapest comp that they give me. And now that I can go during the weekdays, that's the best time because I can't get because of the store.
So like Monday to Thursday is the cheapest.
So, yeah, right? We're probably going to Thursday to Friday or something like that. Oh no, Tuesday to Thursday.
Okay,
like that.
I noticed too. I saw like Monday's just dirt cheap,
and we're fully comped. Like I don't have other than resort fees.
And how do you get? Because I don't gamble. I don't even know how you get fully. You gamble. You give you that card, that MGM card, and if you just gamble enough, they comp your room.
Yeah. So luckily, when I got the MGM card previously. They were having some accelerated points.
Okay.
And we went to a couple of the MGM property restaurants and we got a whole bunch of points. And I went from whatever the beginner status was, I think it's Pearl or Sapphire or whatever, to Gold in like 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, they've just started nonstop giving free hotel rooms. And then
come on, really?
Yeah, because you have
when you went to the restaurants, you could get points.
Yeah, because you charge it to the room.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. So we charge everything to the room, and we go specifically to the MGM properties because no matter where. So if you're staying in say MGM Grand, but you go to the Bellagio restaurants, you can go charge it back to your MGM Grand.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Huh.
We did that, and then we found out we jumped into status, and we got a lot of kind of just the comps.
Shit, I've done a lot of restaurant stuff there. I've always just paid on the spot.
Yeah.
I should be charging it back to the room.
Charge it back to the room and then pay after. And then we lost a status just because you didn't gamble enough or you don't go often enough. But they still send, a lot of the times they still send free rooms during the weeks. Like the weekends are much tougher. So you get
like an email just saying, hey, we're comping your room if you want to go?
Yeah, you have 4 complimentary nights. We'll cover you $100 or whatever.
Come on.
Free play credit, $150 resort credit. I was like, oh,
shit, I feel like I've been playing all this all wrong.
Okay. And then I had enough Air Canada Aeroplan points. So now I'm like, it's a free, close enough to a free trip.
Yeah, that's
in May
great.
that we're like, okay.
It's funny, Vegas, people either love or hate Vegas. I think before, and you can do Vegas so many different ways, but we had a couple great family trips to Vegas because my daughter wanted to see the dance shows, and I like seeing the Cirque shows.
Yeah.
I like the great restaurants. There's great restaurants. There's shopping there, great shopping. The whole family appreciates that. There's the pools.
Yeah.
So you can get the pools.
Yeah, you don't have to gamble.
You don't have to gamble at all.
No.
And you don't have to do any of the like. I'm so past those nightclub stuff. Like I can't handle it.
No.
I actually hate it. Okay, so I just hate it. But you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can go out. You can just see a great show. I remember bringing my nieces there, and they had never been to Las Vegas, so we were excited to bring them. And we brought them. I told them we're going to a magic show. And I guess they thought it was like some cheesy magic show, like the guy was going to pull a rabbit from a hat kind of magic show. But it was one of the guys who won America's Got Talent.
Okay, yeah.
I forget the guy's even
Matt Franco.
Matt Franco.
Yeah.
And they were blown away. Aiden got pulled up on stage. He was on stage for like 10 minutes as in one of the acts. And they were completely blown away. I'm like, girls, what did you think? They're like, we thought it was going to be some cheesy magic show. I'm like, it's Las Vegas, so it can be anything you want it to be, which is weird to say. But I'm sold.
Yeah, I looked at some real estate down there as well when I was down there.
A bunch of Canadians bought condos and stuff down there.
Yeah, I'd buy on the outskirts, like not on the strip itself, and then just rent to the
I could see you with a Vegas property, Tim. I think you're actually born for a Vegas property.
If I do start investing into the U.S., I would want to invest. Yeah, Vegas is first because I actually know I know somebody down there that I went to school with.
Oh, really?
She lives down there. She has her own investment properties. She's an agent down there as well, so I have somebody to lean on if I do need to.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I feel like I could see you there because I feel like you go pretty regularly.
Yeah, I would say.
No? I don't know how much we want to say. You barely go. Let's leave it at that. I'm changing directions. Yeah. You barely go. You haven't been there in a decade. Cool, man. So KTProperty.ca for the property management company. Tim, I appreciate you sharing. You didn't have to come on and share everything you've been through with this business. I think if I was looking to buy a business and heard your story, I would have taken a lot from listening to that. So I really appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, it's got to learn from the lessons. Like at the end of the day on that one, we're going to take a loss on it just because of the inventory that we might not sell, the rent that I had to pay out of my own pocket that we didn't get the sales from the lost strike rent or strike revenue that we lost as well. So take a little bit of loss, but it is what it is. On to bigger and better things. Can't dwell on it.
No. Live to fight another day.
Yeah, got always stuff on the go essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Tim, it's been so cool watching your journey over the last few years, man. I appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you sitting on the podcast.
Thank you for letting me come on.
Yeah, no problem. So KTProperty.ca. That is it, Tim Hong. Thank you.
Thank you.